Welcome to the blocking for Act 1, Scene 2, pages 5 after the opening number until the end of Scene 2 on page 13. So what we're going to do today is take a look in this video really just at the blocking. We're not really going to address characterization at all. We can talk about that further during rehearsal, but because of the length of this particular scene, we want to just get right to it. I did adjust the location of the boxes on stage left in quadrant A and B1, and then on stage right in quadrants A and B3. So just take note of that. And let's begin. On page 5, after the opening number, everybody is left in their specific boxes. The maintenance or custodians are here with the banner, and maybe here just kind of offset. They will end up exiting all on the back door on stage right at the end of the number. The spellers will need to get up and start moving around because of the blocking that comes on page 6, where Chip and Marcy have to talk to each other, and Schwartzy and Leaf have to talk to each other. So I'm going to get into that. Rona will be over here kind of describing what's happening. And as she's doing so, she's going to talk about some of the items like the cell phones and whatnot. And Rona, I'm actually going to ask you to throw in there a bit about the fire exits as well, and possibly talking about an intermission at the halfway point of the B to let the audience members stand and take a stretch, but without necessarily not going into the commons area to promote gathering. We're going to just have everybody kind of do intermission right at their seats. So I'll have you mention that. We can write that up. And so then the next piece here we're going to get to is on the top of page 6. I need to speak with Miss Olive Ostrowski. So Olive, you're going to take and you're going to make your way down here. And so Rona and Olive, you guys will be talking essentially on line 4 and line 3. To sort of counter that move of Olive coming down and taking up space here, we need to get Schwartzy out of there because that's kind of awkward. So what we're going to have is Barfay, you're going to come down and kind of stand here in this corner. You're going to just sort of make your way down to the corner. And you're really going to leave a large open area here by doing that. And so Barfay, if we have you kind of down here in this area, what we're going to have is Chip, you're going to come around to the back and you're going to end up right here. Marcy, you're going to come up here, and so you'll be here. Leaf, you'll come down here, and Schwartzy in here. Now, whether or not that means you're all hanging around in this quadrant 1 or you're just sort of all here on the left stage, not so much of a big deal as much as the order is important. Barfay, we need you here. Chip here. Marcy, Leaf, and Schwartzy. So please take note of that in your script. As Rona is over here talking with Olive, you guys are just sort of just manifesting your character a little bit more and just kind of all gathering around, sort of scoping each other out, sizing up the competition. When Rona says, all right, we'll talk about the entrance fee later, take your seat, at the very start of Rona's line, all right, Marcy, you are going to be kind of making your way back here. And Chip, you're going to come over this way and sort of head her off. So really what we need to have is we need to have Chip and Marcy kind of in this area here on this line in B, and that's where you're going to give your line about, don't be nervous, just watch what I do. Don't worry, I'm not nervous. Because Chip thinks Marcy's sort of walking back, for whatever reason, whether he likes her, he doesn't, whatever. He's trying to just offer advice. He's trying to kind of head her off and talk to her because she's sort of the first to walk away from that group. That frees up Schwartzy and Leaf, who are here. That frees you guys up to then be able to come down here and kind of talk in this area. Remember, Rona and Olive were over here. Rona's going to tell Olive to take her seat. Olive, you're going to take the long way back around this way. And so that'll free up Schwartzy and Leaf to be able to talk right in here. And it also puts you front and center, especially with the new auditorium. We can change up the lines if we need to, but that gives you your space where you need to be. Now, Olive, as you've come around down this way, you notice Barfay, so you might sort of come here, and with Barfay, what school did you go, or do you go to? Shut up! That's going to take Olive and put you right back at your seat and Parfait at yours. And by this time, all of you should be back in your at your boxes. The rest of page 7, when Rona begins with, ladies and gentlemen, all the children you see on stage, this is all being done with spellers in your own seats. Panch, what you need to be aware of is you are getting ready to be introduced. And so for that reason, you need to pay attention to when Rona says, but remember, to get here, each child had to win Obadai or place in their District B. That should be Panch when you're kind of making your way in and sort of just kind of coming down here or sort of waiting to be introduced. And you're going to stay standing, but you'll sort of be in this corner just standing there quietly. We don't want to draw attention to you. Just wait to be introduced. Okay, at which point, as you're being introduced, Rona, you're kind of coming over here. A lot of those lines that you were saying here are being said at the microphone. And Panch, you're waiting over here to be introduced. When you are introduced, your lines will be over here in front of the microphone. Now, this is really important that as you guys are going back to your seats, spellers, back over on page 6, you are going to need to leaf. You're going to need to take and move your box back so that it's right here in the front of the C line. And Marcy, you're going to need to do the same with you. You're going to need to move your boxes back here because we're going to need to end up freeing this space for people to speak and spellers to spell while maintaining that appropriate social distance. So that's going to ultimately create like two very gradual U shapes here for those boxes to then stay for the remainder of the show. So just keep that in mind. Marcy, when you do end up going back to your seat, you're going to move your box back, and Leaf, same to you. Okay, now that brings us to the introduction on page 8 of Mitch Mahoney. And Miss Michelle Mitch Mahoney is going to come down center here to the microphone, lead everyone in the pledge. Panch, you'll be over here for the pledge, Rona here, and the spellers, you'll all be in your spot for the pledge. Mitch, when you make your way back, you're going to kind of be a little bit sort of meandering because you're going to kind of check out the spellers and see what they're up to. You're going to kind of give them the stink eye and let them know you're watching every move they make because you got to find that way to establish your character. So you're going to do that. And the reason I get into that character piece right here is because it involves why you're going to be meandering back to your spot on the risers. Spelling bee rules all the way up through and on page 10 are all done with spellers at their seats, and Panch over here, Rona over here at your respective little desks. And Schwartzy is then going to be called up as the first speller. Schwartzy and all spellers will be down front here at the microphone. One thing I want to go back to before we get into the transition with Leaf, because this is going to be really important to consider. Back on page 5, when Rona is making her introductions and letting people know about different things, there's a point where she needs to acknowledge the fact that there are some spellers that have not been brought on stage. We are going to have to play this by ear. I'm going to give you the ideal of how I would like to see this done. In theory, the ensemble who are not on stage are going to actually be in front, determining along with Mrs. Gulo, who's going to help take charge of this piece, who the spellers are that are going to be brought up onto the stage. Whoever from crew is going to take that list of names and is going to walk it down the aisle and bring it up to Rona, timed at the point when Rona is making those introductions to be notified that there were some spellers that came in late. Like that's going to be the gist of how that's sort of portrayed. Crew member is not going to need to speak, but that's just how that's going to be done. When the volunteers are brought up on stage and during that piece of all of this, the spellers themselves, volunteers, are going to be brought back and you're going to be seating them in this particular area. So they will sit on those boxes in the back. We might have to be careful about how they're seated here because of Leaf and Marcy needing to shift their things back, but we can certainly take advantage of figuring out how we will use that space effectively for our volunteers. Technically, we only need to seat 4 of them, but again, we can get creative. So that now brings us to the issue of where we're at with Leaf's backstory here, his flashback. Because I can't have my audience volunteers and all 6 of my spellers on stage, along with Rona and Panch and whatever, for that flashback, I have to have, I think what we're going to do is we're going to have Panch step off down the stairs here and Rona step off on the stairs here. Sorry about that. On either side to get them off stage quickly. And then spellers, you're going to end up all collectively going out the back door so that Leaf's parents and siblings can line up off stage. Even though this is showing in the quadrants, you'll be lined up off stage on stage left, ready to come in. So when Leaf is called up by Panch, Mr. Coney Bear, Rona is going to say Mr. Coney Bear was second runner-up at the Putnam Basic District. The phone ring is going to happen. That's going to change the stage lighting. It's that change in the stage lighting that's going to get the 6 of you out the back door. Abby, off stage, is going to say, Leaf, phone. Or I'm sorry, Leaf's sister, excuse me. Leaf's sister is going to say, Leaf, phone, and is going to be down here and is going to hand Leaf the phone. Leaf, you're going to come over here to get it from sibling, and you're going to come back over here to the mic. Sibling is going to be back off stage again. Leaf is going to say, hello, Leaf speaking, da, 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 da. And then family is going to come out when they're called. Leaf's mom, you are going to be here. Leaf's dad, you are going to be here, and Leaf here. Leaf sibling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will line up at the hash marks all along line B, from 4 to 3 to 2, and the hash marks in between. Okay, the lines will be given, and at the end of the flashback scene, siblings and parents will all go back off stage here, and spellers will all come back in from stage right and go back to their assumed positions. All right, does this hopefully make sense for everybody? I just have to be able to balance the number of people on stage and off stage. So when the scene is done, siblings will file off this way, out the door. Mom and dad will round up the end and come back and go out that door as well. Panch, you will come back. You will come back up to your spot here. Rona, you'll come back up to your spot here. And the lights will come back up to normal and resume from where they were. And that's going to take us all the way through to the end of scene 2 at the bottom of page 13.